Welcome to the Monday edition of the Snooze here at LonghornStation.com. What a crazy weekend of NBA action it was with Ahmad Brooks. I'm John Medani. There are so many things to focus on, and we did that for 3 hours this morning on the air. So for this abbreviated editorial, which is known as the Snooze, we'll focus on a couple of games of local interest. The first being the Spurs and the Mavs, and the second being how Kevin Durant fared in his debut as Oklahoma City took on the Lakers. First and foremost, let's talk about KD because he was the NBA's scoring champion, the youngest of all time, and the Lakers did what the Lakers do. They introduced him to the playoffs.
They did, and they introduced him to Ron Artest. Clearly, you could see why this young man had been held 3 points lower than his average, which was 30 points going into this matchup. Ron Artest is a physical presence, and the one thing that I will say about the Lakers, they tried to defend him in a lot of different ways. He got a lot of looks that I'm not sure he's used to getting. In addition to that, they were making him work hard on the defensive end of the court. John, you and I both know. I mean, what's some of the best defense sometimes to an offensive-dominated player? You make him work on the defensive end. You wear him out so that he can't be effective. I mean, KD came up short, which you don't see him do a lot. He's got a very soft touch from the outside. He came up short on 2 of his shots from long range. Yeah. That told me that he was probably a little bit tired, weak in his legs, running around trying to get off of screens because Ron Artest was giving him everything he could handle. And they did an excellent job. And then the big fellas down low dominating. And it really doesn't matter what Kevin Durant does. If Andrew Bynum and Pau Gasol play as well as they did last night, they're going to be fine, and they're going to get past this team with ease.
My biggest criticism of the Lakers and their bigs is that they're soft. That's the biggest problem I have with the Lakers. There's no question that they're talented, but I didn't think that Oklahoma City attacked Bynum and Gasol enough. Right now, I'm going to predict that Kevin Durant's going to score 40 points in Game 2, and he's going to get a lot of it at the 10 because he's going to try to put his knees in Bynum's. Because think about it, Kevin Durant's slight of build.
Yeah, he is.
Bynum is not exactly a huge man, and neither is Gasol. Ask those guys to play defense at the rim, and we'll see what we get. So we'll find out what happens. The Lakers are still going to win the series, but Kevin Durant's going to get some close-up shots. That's what you do when you're missing shots. You get closer to the basket.
Most definitely.
Spurs and Mavs, that was a little bit tough to watch. I used the metaphor, watching the Spurs is like watching a heavyweight champion who will not go down to the canvas.
You're right.
It's they're getting battered and beat up. The big three are still trying to truck right along. They got 71 points, but they got nothing from anyone else. Now what is Greg Popovich going to do?
I have no idea. I know he got him on a plane and flew him back to San Antonio. Maybe that was the best decision he's made for them right now, is to take them back home. Because they look like they didn't leave from San Antonio. I thought they were very lackadaisical. And I cannot believe I'm saying this, and I cannot believe I continue to say this, but the Dallas Mavericks actually are the better defensive team in this matchup. And it is scary to think that. But Caron Butler being there now, Haywood playing well, and Dampier came out of his hibernation that he's been in since entering the league. Finally, was bumping bodies with Tim Duncan in the paint and really providing a physical presence down there. And in addition to that, I just think they're really deep. Jason Terry could be the 6th man of the year. Bobois, other players coming off the bench they're getting good minutes out of. This team is good. They're going to compete in the Western Conference, and I just don't think the San Antonio Spurs are good enough this year to beat them. And in addition to that, I was a little disappointed because I thought Rick Carlisle might have coached a better game. And I know that's difficult to say, but I think he found more ways to get Dirk Nowitzki open, though they don't have an option, defensive option for him. The Spurs don't. But I thought he did a good job, and give him some credit for going head-to-head with Pop.
In the past, this would be the time of year where you go to Popovich and you say, well, it's time to muck it up, boys. It's almost like hockey. It's like, okay, time to make it into a street brawl, and we'll just see how well you do. It's what the Knicks used to do back in the mid-'90s. But you know what? With this incarnation of the Dallas Mavericks, with Brendan Haywood and with Caron Butler, they're fine with that. That's the difference. I mean, people talk about what that trade brought them. Well, what it brought them was a couple of players who came from big-time programs, talking about North Carolina and UConn, and then played in the Eastern Conference enough that they don't really mind that style of play. So it's not like you can just all of a sudden get physical and get tough.
Yep.
Those two guys will fight back.
I'm with you.
So tall order for the San Antonio Spurs, although they do have 2 days to rest up. Game 2 will be Wednesday night in Dallas, and it should be a lot of fun. Be sure to stay tuned. We got a lot of stuff still coming up this week, including this little thing called the NFL Draft. We continue to track it. We're updating it for you daily. Check out our Longhorn Drafts blog at LonghornStation.com.